lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Two weeks ago, we saw what these guys can do on the first road course race of the season. But now we come back to the ovals and the Irish Hills of Michigan for round number 4 of the Oval Series here at Michigan International Speedway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, as always, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, again, road course last week. We saw the road course ringers. We saw the GT3 guys really make some headway. Now it's time for them to try to use that momentum back here on the oval side of the racetrack. Very akin to Daytona in the fact it's going to be high speeds and high pace here tonight. It
is. This track almost could be a plate track, or what we consider a plate track. Just the fact that, especially early going in a tire run, you probably don't have to lift until you get to turn 3. But, this is going to be the place where if you know how to work the draft and you know how to work it effectively, you're going to go to the front. If you can't work the draft, you're pretty much up a creek without a paddle.
And for those of you, I know we do have a lot of Swedish people watching. The little blurb that's written out here is the same same thing in the description as it is with all of my races, at least. And it's also in there in Swedish, too. So no changes. You guys can see ww's going on there.
Provided Google Translate is working properly.
Yeah, Google translated Swedish. So we'll really quick, we'll go to the standings here after the first 3 races of the season. Jesper Eriksson had a very good run last week. Unfortunately, came up just a little bit short in second. Jonas Gunnarsson also had a very good run last week, but it was Michael Haflidason who took the race win and really got himself back into the fight here.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely an amazing run that we saw the last time out. And, you know, again, the GT3 guys, the guys with more GT3 experience, that have more road course experience, of course, they're going to do better on the road courses, being as they also have experience in this car as well. But I would dare say tonight, look for Dan Solo, Alex Weigert, and Linus Broström to really have some breakthrough performances, because those 3 guys race weekly in oval leagues, and 3 of them have already had wins here at this track.
Yeah, and we've seen Weigert this season having very, very strong runs. Was the championship leader before missing last week at Sonoma. We'll go to the team championship right now. No change at the top. Alcantech currently still leading, at least the Nyman racing division of Alcantech still out in front. The Forest Esports Academy jumping up into second, but the Forest Esports prospects, with the race that they had at Sonoma last week, really jumped up. The biggest movers, +5, Bright Esports and Bright Esports and Forest Esports, the main team, the 2 biggest drops at 5 positions each.
Yeah, and that's kind of surprising out of both those teams, considering that, you know, just how packed with talent both those rival teams are. It's actually shocking, to be honest with you, that they lost that many points, or that lost that many spots in the point standings just after Sonoma.
It's not the great look for the factory team of Forest Esports to be sitting last in the team championship, but when you have 4 different derivative teams that are all ahead of you, it's a very good sight towards the future, as we've only got a couple of seconds to go here in this practice session before we head on to qualifying. We are not anticipating having a sprint race here today. The only time that we have a sprint race is when the field is over 40 drivers. We have 37 here tonight. Still a very, very big field, but not one that's going to call for a sprint race. So after qualifying, we will go straight into the main race, just the same way we tried to do 2 weeks ago at Sonoma.
Yeah, well, the good news is the chief cook and bottle washer of this league, Linus Broström, is back, and he's got a lot of experience finagling with the different session states, so he knows how to get that done. And it looks like nobody wasting any time to get out there for qualifying.
Yep, we have cars on track, and speaking of the Forest Esports team, there is the man at Forest Esports, Jonas Forest, currently out on track right now, or getting out on track right now, I should say. First one will cross the line will be either him or Pontus Nilsson in the 19. Right now it's looking like Pontus might be a little bit further along than Jonas, but they will cross at virtually the same time.
Alex Errolson going to be the first one to take the green here, though, as Linus Broström, Connie Lundell, Eric Lundberg, Helvis Jansson, just about everybody. The only handful of drivers that we're waiting on are Dan Holmer, Mark Stiller, Daniel Bloomquist, and yeah, those are the only 3 that have not started rolling yet. And just as I say that, Bloomquist starts rolling in the 487.
Taking a look right now at the 19 of Pontus Nilsson. We saw the 76 of Jonas Forest scrubbing against the wall in turn 1. Alexander Arildson in the number 24 sets down the fastest lap at a 38.99. Eric Blix puts down the second best time at a 39.13, so a very good time for that 24 car.
Let me go double check here, but yeah, he's one of only a handful of drivers that have gone sub 39 here tonight.
Kim Nyholm goes second. Now Michael Haflidason goes second. Kim Nyholm was the fastest in practice, or at least the last I saw, as Ariltsen once again resets fastest lap at a 38.89, so quicker on the second go around. Here's the 58 of Nyholm. Andre Solander just misses pole at a 38.90, 38.96 for Jesper Eriksson on his second lap. Nyholm on the second lap jumps up to fourth. Another one inside the 39-second bracket. Jonas Gunnarsson jumping up. A lot of guys making moves now. Haflidason back up to fourth. Gunnarsson up to sixth.
Brosser moves up to fifth on his second flyer. Anton Ullman. Wow, what a lap by Ullman.
Ton Ehrman up to the pole at a 38.82. Daniel Solo coming across the line to complete his second lap. Solo goes from 30th to 11th quickest. Daniel Blomqvist in the 487. Crossing the line now, goes from 35th up to 34th. Marcus Stiller in the 013. Slowest of the drivers who have taken time now. Daniel Holmer on track as well. So the last
Holmer
two
with
guys.
A pretty good pace so far.
So the last two guys to set a time right now, the 79 of Holmer and the 013 of Stiller. Holmer crossing the line to complete lap number one. Holmer will go 32nd on his first lap as Marcus Stiller looks to get out of the cellar. Better first half of the lap, second half better as well. Jumps up to 35th as Holmer has a big moment coming out of turn two and spins wildly down the back straightaway, hits the outside wall, and that's how qualifying will end.
All right, then.
So as you do.
And everybody at least got one lap in that counted, so that's a good thing to see.
I can't remember the last time we saw a field this big and everybody qualify.
Never.
It's quite an interesting feat because we've had a couple of races this season where we've had guys miss, and from what I'm seeing, that's just been ruined as Martin Liesnik in the 016 has now joined right here at the very death of qualifying, so he will start in 38th without a time. So we will take a look now. We'll wait because we've got the heat race that we need to skip through now. So with that, go into a little bit of a hold here as we wait for the sprint race to begin. And Tony, as the name of the race suggests, hot and slippery, it's expected to be a hot racetrack. New tires are expected to be very, very difficult to be able to use. However, the longer and longer this race goes on, the tighter and tighter this car is going to become.
It absolutely is. But, taking a look at the weather conditions currently, these are not the worst conditions we've seen, Frank.
No, not at all. And these will change a little bit once we get out of the sprint session. 22 degrees C, 34-degree track temperature for these guys.
It's 71 and 94 for those of us on this side of the pond.
So in freedom units.
Bald eagles.
Yeah, I threw myself off with that. A 4K wind at just past 3 o'clock, about 3:20 in sim time. And again, this will change as the drivers are lining up on the grid here, but I think that's in an effort to get the sprint race skipped over. Right. And once we do that, then we will jump into the main race. It will be 124 laps.
Yes.
Here tonight, if I
you are correct.
Okay, so 124 laps here tonight. The stage break will come at lap 45. So right around the time where that first pit stop would be coming is where this stage break is going to hit, and that's going to mean a lot of guys all down pit road at once at that first stage.
Yeah, especially considering that they've only got an 85% fuel fill here tonight. So you're looking outer limit would be about 40 laps. So definitely going to be an interesting first couple of stages here. First stage might be a little sketchy, getting to the stage end without having to get a splash and go, but the second stage they should be able to make it the entire length, and then of course we're going to see a green flag pit stop during the final stage.
And we know from Kansas just shy of a month ago that these guys are willing to stretch it on fuel to be able to try to make these races a little bit more interesting. And this is one of those racetracks where it does come down to fuel mileage more often than not. This is one of those racetracks that has that legacy to it of it being a fuel mileage race. So if you set the laps up at the right time and you have cautions come out in certain spots, or if you go green, you can certainly have it to where you're going to be in a little bit trouble as far as the fuel tank goes.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what car we're in here at the house that Penske built. Whether we're IndyCar, the NASCAR Cup cars, the Xfinity, the trucks, even Pro Mazdas that I've run here, it all comes down to, can you save enough early to not put yourself in jeopardy in a late run?
Now we're seeing that Linus gave us an update on what's going on. If you're just joining us, we're in a little bit of a holding pattern, just the same way we were last week. Again, if the field is shorter than 40 drivers or shorter, the sprint race will be skipped. And right now they are having the same issue we had 2 weeks ago at Sonoma with 38 drivers here tonight. There's no need to run said sprint race, so we are going to skip that sprint race. And again, just the same way as 2 weeks ago, we are having a little bit of an issue doing that. So if you're just joining us and you're just seeing a panoramic shot of this gigantic racetrack, just hang with us. We will get this race going. This is an anticipated issue that we are having, and we are going to see what will happen here, as it looks like Johan Larsson is out on track right now, just setting on what would be the first of the green flag laps, and they would be doing this, I would assume, having Larsson go up since he qualified in 21st. He would be the driver that is going to go out, so he keeps that starting spot, because remember, the winner of this race starts 21st on a race with more than 40 competitors.
Correct. They have attempted to advance the session. The only issue is it hasn't advanced yet.
So we're in effect trying to do that, just get through to this next session. But coming up next week, we go back to the GT3 side. We are at Sebring. It is another straight hour-long event, just the same way we had a couple of weeks ago at Mount Panorama. It's going to be quite fun to see these guys go through the bumps and the twists and turns of Sebring next week.
Oh, very much so. The GT3 cars aren't notorious for having a lot of suspension travel. And with the uneven concrete that you have on that old Air Force base that is Sebring, especially coming through turn 17, that thing is a monster.
Mm-hmm. That long final corner.
Absolutely. And if you don't have your force feedback dialed back, I've heard of guys fracturing wrists with just the force feedback, trying to rip the wheel out of their hands.
More for people who have direct drive, I would assume.
Right.
My little T150.
Yeah, no, direct drive and probably a couple of beers in them to not think enough to turn that force feedback down at least a tick.
And then after that, on the 27th, so that will be the 20th, next Thursday. The Thursday after will be the next time we are in these cars again. We will be at Martinsville Speedway. So the short track race, first short track race of the season will be at Martinsville in 2 weeks' time in these cars. And that is going to create a very hectic environment, especially if we see a number like we see today at 38 drivers looking to compete tonight.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, that track is difficult to get around with a field half this size. You know, I can only imagine what a full field is going to be like, you know, with guys that admittedly aren't really oval ringers. You know, and they didn't grow up on the short tracks around the country like a lot of guys that do better at Martinsville have done. I mean, you take a look at the real world of NASCAR, and guys like Jeff Gordon, guys like Tony Stewart, guys like Ryan Newman, you know, the guys that have come up through the short track ranks, be it open wheel or full fender, it doesn't matter. But the guys that have the short track pedigree are going to go to the front, but they've got to get their way through the minefield that's going to be those guys that aren't as short track savvy. The only good thing is that track does race like a road course.
Absolutely, it does. It's effectively the hairpin at Sonoma, mirrored onto itself at Martinsville in 2 weeks' time. If you are just joining us again, in a little bit of a holding pattern, less than 40 drivers. The series does not have to run its sprint race to determine what the starting positions for 21 through 40 are. And right now, Johan Larsson, who qualified in the 21st position right now, is just making laps to finish this sprint race out. He was the guy again who started in 21st, so he will be the one that is permitted to go around here to allow the race to actually begin. So Johan Larsson getting plenty of television time right now, as I believe there's only a couple of laps to go. Only a couple more laps he has to do in order to kick out of this session before we get into the 124 lap main race here tonight.
Well, we are now officially past halfway.
Well, Linus has rules have been changed here in the chat. In the future, we will just run the sprint race, even if there's just 21 cars total, to not have to deal with this again. So this will be the last time we have to do this, and there will be a sprint race from here on out.
Sounds fair.
Rules are flying in here as Johan Larsson is on a Sunday stroll around this racetrack.
Absolutely.
I'm seeing Robin H. Racing in the chat on the Twitch side. Unfortunately, I do not have the ability to change the stream title. Now, the multi-broadcast system that we're using is Caster to be able to bring you this race both on YouTube and on Twitch. And I do not have the ability through Caster. I do not have the ability to change the name of the stream on the Twitch side. Unfortunately, if I did, it would have been changed. But yeah, so that unfortunately is that. Tony, you can see the lap timer. How many more do we got?
2.
All right, so 10 laps.
Popsicle sticks in the air.
There you go. So he's got 2 more circulations left. And again, we will get this race underway here in just a few moments' time, as we
are being joined in the booth by Linus Brostrom, the chief cook and bottle washer of the league.
Hello. Yes. Well, we're having some issues with the heat racing thing, but I think we'll sort it out in the future by just running the heat race every time.
Sounds fair.
You know, not have to do this. I don't know why you can't skip it. It says that we're advancing this session and it says already finishing, but yeah, I think he's got the white flag now, so we should be done here in about 45 seconds.
Sounds like your game plan is, Linus, you've had some success here yourself. Talk us through what you're looking for in this upcoming race.
Well, I qualified better than I expected, so just trying to stay up front and not make any mistakes, not get loose on the fresh tires, and then hope that the cautions fall exactly where I need them to.
Absolutely. Is checkered flag going to be in the air as he comes out of turn number 4? Jonas Gunnarsson bringing it to the line, and that is going to do it for this extended practice session for the 57. There we go.
So, and with that, we will now head to the starting grid in a moment, because we're now in the warm-up session.
Yeah,
So-
well, we're advancing that as well, so we'll
there
see.
you
Yeah,
go.
it's working. So
All
we're
right.
going racing, boys.
All right, so we will now head to the race, and we will now head to the grid once the session officially flips over, which it has just done. On pole here tonight will be Anton Ehrmann at a time of 38.819. Sitting on pole here for tonight's race, Alexander Eriksson on the front row, just to his outside. Andre Solander and Michael Haflidason will make up row 2. Vilda Walden and Linus Broström, who we just heard from, will start in P6. Row 3. Row 4 goes to Jesper Eriksson and Jonas Gunnarsson. Peter Helmbro and Kim Nyholm will make up row number 5. Row 6 goes to Daniel Solo and Kenneth Tier. Row 7 to Eric Blixt and Dennis Schrepp. Row 8 will see Jonas Skoglund and Anton Bratberg, with row 9 seeing Philip York and Bjorn Broström. Row 10 will see Jonas Forss and Haflidi Johansson. Tony.
Jonas Larsson and Philip Bromberg are going to roll it off in row number 12. Row 13 goes to Stefan Wang and
You're
Hugo.
You're off.
Philip Broberg.
Johan Larsson and Philip Carlin will make up row 11. We'll just go from there.
No, I'm just going off what it says on the iRacing timing and scoring.
Oh,
So I think
all right
that's
then.
off.
Okay, go ahead.
Come on.
Well, in any
Philip Carlson, Robert Ehrling, and Philip Broberg going to roll it off in row 12. Row 13 is going to go to Stefan Wang and Hugo Robb, Pontius Nielsen, and Robert Lundgren in row number 14. 14. Row 15 is going to go to Emily Fagrell and Jakob Larsen, Connie Lundrell, and Dan Holmer in row 16. Row 17 is going to go to Christoph Geros and Eric Lundberg, Marcus Stiller, and Dan Brumquist in row 18. In row 19, Jochen Ware and Martin Lesniak. Okay. I apologize if I butchered anybody's name. Feel free to send your hate mail now.
Again, quick check of the weather conditions. Virtually identical. 22 degrees Celsius ambient temperature, 34 degrees Celsius track temperature. Wind has stayed the same, and we're almost at 4 o'clock p.m. in sim time. Tony, time to get round 4 up and ready.
It absolutely is. As the field working its way through the 3-4 complex, pace truck getting ready to haul it on off. Geico restart zone is in effect. The only thing is left to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some stew because it's time to get it on in the Irish Hills. Race fans, it's show time.
Jonas Gunnarsson immediately jumping out of line. Anton Ehrmann immediately jumping to the outside line. Here, an aggressive little restart here at Michigan. Alexander Eriksson right to the bottom in the 24.
Wilson trying to make a move down the back straightaway. He's got the slipstream. They're starting to get single filed out up towards the front, with the exception of Andre Seilander, who's still on that low side. And here we go, battle for the lead as Ehrmann throws to the inside of Eriksson.
Ehrmann on the outside, holding that outside lane. Eriksson in the 24. Does not lead the first lap. Michael Haflidason last time out, the winner at Sonoma.
3 wide for 10th.
Running in third right now, Kenneth Tier in the 49 out in front of that. Dennis Schrepp on the outside. As we're seeing a lot of close racing here in the midfield. That's Jonas Skoglund in that Bright Esports machine out in the middle. And another Bright Esports machine. I think that was the 79 of Daniel Holmer. Or pardon me, no it wasn't. It was further back.
Philip Broberg. And that brings us under caution number 1.
Philip Broberg in the 117. That's who it was. The 91 of Connie Lundell. Spinning around backwards. Emily Fagrell there as well. We saw it happening towards the back. We'll see here on replay what happened. Well, that 117 just gets loose by himself on the bottom. Secondary incident as well. That incident between Lundell and Fagrell were, those two were not linked. At least to the immediate eye, they weren't linked.
Well, it looks like they were trying to take evasive action to stay off of the 117.
Oh, Fagrell went down to the bottom to avoid the 117 and came up. The 91 was there.
Yeah, the 91 went lower than Emily wanted him to go. And stuff happens. Luckily, not a lot of damage to both those cars. 117, on the other hand, that thing's a mess.
Was on board the 91 of Lundell. Saw the incident happening in front. There's another car that caught a piece of that. Bjorn Brostrom in the 41. Unfortunately, did not get away from this scot-free.
Oh, yeah.
See the right front damage there, and we'll show you what happened here. We'll take a look on
board with Bjorn.
There it is. Just that little clip sending the 41 into the wall. And that was all it took.
You know, and that was something that we were hearing during the hot lap session is cold tires are very sketchy here. Mm-hmm. Which is why we ended up with an issue on lap 2.
Have been for quite some time. Doesn't really matter what rendition of the car happens to be here. So you see the left side, that little air flap there on the left side, down and in line with the rest of the hood of the car, and on the right side, not so much. So under caution here for the first time today. Stage break will be at lap 45. And everyone from 31st on up not coming down pit road. Daniel Blomqvist, the first of the drivers that came down pit road, and it looks like Daniel Holmer now is going to come in to top off, and that was the reason why the 487, the 482, 91 all came down pit road was to just to fill it up with fuel.
As you do. I mean, you're looking for any advantage you can get, especially on fuel mileage here at Michigan. And, you know, you got plenty of time under caution to come down, top it off. You're not going to lose that many spots to begin with. And you're going to get them back later in the run when everybody else has to come down 3-4 laps later.
So about to get this race back underway. Round number 4 of the Svenska eRacinligan's Next Gen Cup Series. As we head into turn number 3, we have seen 3 different winners here this season. Linus Brostrom, winner at Daytona. Jesper Eriksson, the winner at Kansas. Michael Haflidason, winner at Homestead. Will we see number 4 here today, or will we see our first repeat winner as Anton Ehrmann leads them down going into that Geico restart zone? Green flag back in the air. We are underway here at Michigan, and once again, Ehrmann with a very good start, getting out in front of the 24.
And it looks like he's bringing the 81 of Haflidason with him, as the 24 not quite up on the button as quickly as he should be. We're almost in a 3-wide situation. Luckily, Andre Salander wisely backing out of that one. There's a little bit of rubbing going on between Haflidason and Eriksson.
81 and 24 getting very, very close for comfort. Middle of the field is just as close, but these corners are very wide here. They can sustain side-by-side racing for quite some time, and they will also sustain a little bit of outside line ring running here today, which we just saw from Anton Ehrmann in turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, this is definitely a 3-groove racetrack, and you can do that just about all race long, provided you're paying attention to what the car is asking for. Running those upper lanes, Frank, as we found out since the last 2 tire models have come out, it's very easy to burn the right side tires off by trying to carry that momentum on the outside lane, especially late in a tire run. If you're punishing them early, you're not going to have them late.
Certainly. Is Philip York now looking to make a move? This is for the 15th spot on the 21 of Hugo Robb, and does just that. The 85 of Stefan Wang down there as well. Jesper Eriksson running very, very close here with Vilda Whalen. This is just inside the top 10. Top 8 cars have somewhat broken away, but here comes the rest of the group as we are single file up here through about the first, say 13 cars.
Correct. And, it's very easy for the peloton to make up time if they can work together. However, right now, it doesn't look like they're going to be playing quite so nicely.
It's Linus Broström going to the outside of Jonas Gunnarsson. And we've seen so often, especially recently, as Jesper Eriksson looks to the inside, now Broström doing the same. You can run the outside at these racetracks, Kansas being one of them, Auto Club being another. You can run the outside line and you can be fast up there, but the inside line tends to work a little bit further on into the run because you're rolling through the corner further to stay on the inside line, not pushing the tires as hard as you are on the outside line.
Well, it's more important on the right rear than it is on the right front. That right rear is really what gets punished when you're hanging it out on the second and third lane. And later in the run, that's where you need that right rear the most, is to get that drive off the corner to make that pass stick. And side by side for the lead.
Anton Ehrmann starting to get away right now as Arildsson and Haflidason battle for second behind him. Ehrmann 0.6 of a second to the good as those two were battling for the better part of the last lap. Andre Salander now looking to the outside of Jonas Gunnarsson. That would be for fourth.
Little teammate on teammate action there. Both those running for Alcantech. But, I just want to point out a couple of things here tonight, Frank. If you take a look at the 33 of Gunnarsson, he's rocking the purple scheme on that Volvo tonight. Of course, making note to October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And, I dare say that, we would all really take umbrage if our mother was in that situation, or sister, anybody is in that situation. Real men don't hit women, plain and simple.
Speaking of taking umbrage, if your mother was in that position, the 29 and the 4, the two women in the field here tonight, currently running up in the top 10, running in 7th, going for a top 5 spot is Vilda Whalen, who we're seeing on track right now. Emily Fagerl right now trying to work her way up through the field, running in 33rd after being part of that first incident here tonight, both running with the
Whalen's in the wall in 3.
3 wide for the race lead right now as Anton Ehrmann and Alexander Eriksson. Michael Haflidason also coming to the line. Whew, that was close. I think Eriksson might have had him.
Yes. Eriksson had that by 2/1000ths of a second.
To complete that thought, running the pink ribbons for breast cancer awareness are the 29 and the 4 here tonight.
Yes.
As Michael Haflidason takes over the race lead.
And the biggest way to combat breast cancer is get tested early and get tested often.
Ton Ehrmann still holding that outside line. Jesper Eriksson starting to weave his way up to the front as that single file racing is now turned into double file and 3 wide in the case of the 37 and 33. A little bit of contact between those two as well going down into turn 1.
That could have gotten ugly if they weren't such professionals behind the wheels of those two cars.
Absolutely. Alcantech definitely seems to have the advantage on the ovals, but it's fours that has the advantage when it comes to turning left and right. Eric Blixt just behind these guys in the 95, also for Alcantech, battling with teammate Daniel Solo for 11th position, just outside the top 10.
They've got Ken Nyholm in tow with them. We saw a pretty decent run last time out for Nyholm. So, nice quiet race so far, just outside the top 10, looking to improve as this race wears on. But in front of them, that's Jesper Eriksson and Andre Salander going after each other.
Salander trying to maintain that position on the 37 and will do just that. The top 4 now starting to break away. At the 24 now at the lead of the field. Haflidason, Ehrmann, and Gunnarsson in tow, about a half a second ahead of Andre Salander as these guys now start to single file out to catch back up to the lead group.
Well, they're starting to make some headway. Starting to slowly chip away at that lead. Meanwhile, back in the mid-pack, Jonas Fors and Hugo Eriksson going after each other, just pitchforks and axe handles.
It's Hugo Robb in the 21.
I'm sorry.
That Rays Energy Chevrolet, number 21 on the outside line. And yeah, this the single file that they've found up at the front has not, that telegram has not reached the back of this field just yet.
Absolutely, but we're about halfway through this fuel run, Frank. And this is the part where you've got to get elbows up as battle for the lead as the 81 of Haflidason goes to Eriksson's inside, hauling it off into turn number 3. 2 wide, 2 deep.
Because of the nature of this racetrack with how big and how wide and how fast it is, no lead here tonight is really all that safe. Maybe get out to a couple tenths of a second, but unless you get out enough to break the draft, as I think the 19. Oh, we got a big incident. That's the 48 of Dennis Schrepp down in the grass. Saw Pontus Nielsen tumbling down the board as well in the 19. There is Nielsen.
He was one of the... Oi! He caught victory lane with the front of that car.
It's interesting because the front of the car doesn't look too bad for the 13. Oh, that incident in front of him.
Yeah, that was no bueno.
Ooh. Ends up jumping over that little bit of grass, that a bit of asphalt that sticks out into the grass. See this from the incident happens with the 48 of Dennis Schrepp, so we're going to see this is coming through 3 and 4. That's the 78, the 76 of Jonas Fors, 78 rather. Schrepp gets a good run. Fors trying to come down the track and unfortunately misjudged that. Hugo Robb getting a piece of it. A lot of scattering made it look a lot worse than it was.
Actually, Frank, you're probably going to want to watch that from the roof cam on Rob's car.
Yeah, just going to it.
It looks like the 48 came up more than the 78 came down.
Go to it again. And unfortunately for Rob, just nowhere to go. There's Pontus Nilsson catching that blue bit of pavement in the infield there. As we are under caution for the second time tonight. Seeing more of a discrepancy in pit strategy coming out now. Jonas Gunnarsson from 20th position has come into pit road. Everyone else behind him has come down as well. And a mix of 4 tires, 2 tires, and no tires. Skoglund, no tires. Jesper Eriksson just behind him took 4. Kenneth Tier looked like he took 2. Fuel only for Holmer, Helmbro, and Lundberg behind. And then Stefan Wang taking 4. Bloomqvist fuel only. 4 for Hugo Robb. Jurios, Johansson, Bjorkstrom taking 2, it looks like. So we got a nice little mix of fuel strategies here.
We do at that, and the thing is, these guys, they know they've got an extra set of tires to get them through the 124 laps here. Normally we see 4 sets for a race this length. These guys are getting, guys and gals are getting 5 total. So the set they started the race on, and then they're laying 4 extra sets in the pits. The guys and gals that didn't come down under this caution to change tires, they're going to have an extra set should we get another late race caution like we've seen.
Thank everyone who's watching, not just on Twitch, but on YouTube as well. We're working lap 20, our second caution, about to go back to green flag racing here at Michigan. Round number 4 of the oval season, round number 5 of the GT3 season coming up next week. Will be at Sebring, a straight hour-long event, which I'm sure Sam Hammarstedt is going to be very happy about.
Probably, yeah. Because those inverts have not done him any favors this season.
He's won all of the sprint races this season, and he won the first 60-minute endurance race at Mount Panorama a couple of weeks ago. Another 60-minute enduro coming up next week at Sebring as we go back to green flag racing. Arildsson this time gets the good start, being in control, and a big checkup in the midfield right around the 85 of Stefan Wang.
I think that actually started in front of him, but yeah, that did really mix this field up, which we got a few different packs starting to form because of that checkup, and the
best time to get some positions here, and these guys are taking full advantage of it. Arildsson, Haflidason, Anton Ehrman side by side between Jonas Gunnarsson and Linus Broström. Andre Solander there as well in the 140. Solander will come up and take that 5th spot on the inside line.
The one to keep your eye on right now is going to be that 37 of Jesper Eriksson, as he's working the inside of Marcus Stiller. Eriksson, the first one on fresh shoes, trying to pick his way through this field.
He started back at about the 22nd position. He's already up to 14th here in just one lap, as that Force Esports entry of Eriksson already working his way up through the field. Solander and Broström battling for 5th one more time. Lanes are switched as Broström on the inside now, Solander on the outside. Phil de Whalen right there as well, running in the 7th position.
Question is for how much longer, as Eriksson continues carving his way in through the field back into the top 10 as he's working the inside of Dan Solo, setting his sights on driving deeper into that top 10.
Last time by, around this time, this part of the racetrack, he was in 14th. He's now in 8th. Is that 37. Proved to be very quick at the road course at Sonoma last time out 2 weeks ago, as Broström tries to throw a little bit of a slide, but Eriksson coming way too strong up into the 6th position, 3 wide going into turn 1. Broström backs out of it. It's now a straight duel between Eriksson and Selander for 5th.
Selander keeps his foot in it on the top side, but those fresh tires of Eriksson are no match, as Eriksson is on a charge. He wants the stage points badly.
Another driver on the charge is running in 9th right now. That Raise Energy number 21 of Hugo Robb. Another one who's on fresh tires, and another one who's found a lane down there on the bottom to start moving up through the field. Arieldsson cuts down to make the block on the race lead, but Hugo Robb started in mid-20s. He's up to 6th now.
He is at that, as just like that, Eriksson to the point. Arieldsson gonna shuffle back into 2nd.
Jeez, and Hugo Robb flies
and
up into 3rd.
Robb. Holy cow.
He was in 6th going into turn 1 and comes out at turn 2 in 3rd.
And you take a look at the times in the top 10, the guys that put on fresh shoes are the only 2 that have gone sub 20 seconds here in the last couple of laps.
And he's running a very unique line here. There is a little bit of progressive banking here at Michigan. The line that's right on the yellow line is a lot flatter than the rest of the racetrack. Typically, you want to be running above that first seam, as Hugo Robb has taken that bottom line, the lane certainly less traveled, straight to the lead.
But the question always remains, is he going too hard too soon on the fresh tires? As he's starting to pull a gap on Eriksson, Eriksson right now.
Next car to take a look at is Stefan Wang, currently running in 5th, another one on fresh tires.
Wang with a good drive right now. Currently sitting plus now 19 as he gets by the 33 of Gunnarsson. And, we talk about it all the time, Frank, with the undercut being so big. Right now, the undercut, 27 laps into this piece, you're looking at just under 1.5 seconds of fall off.
And just to show you, to put that into perspective, in the couple of laps is Arieldsson really holding up the middle line. That allows Wang around on the outside, and that got very close coming out of turn 4, but Stefan Wang will appear with the 3rd position. Michael Haflidason there as well. And Tony, to put that fall off into perspective that you were talking about, in just 3 laps, the drivers out in front of this field have pulled out a 2.5 second lead over everyone else who stayed out looking to save that set of tires.
Yeah, they absolutely have. So, I mean, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Do you want to race for the stage points, or do you want to almost guarantee yourself stage points but put yourself behind the 8 ball if we get a late race caution?
We've had a number of cautions come out here in these races. So you would think play it a little bit safer is at least what I would do, as these guys have gotten out. Jonas Gunnarsson right now finding himself 4 seconds off of Hugo Robb in the race lead right now in that 33. Anton Ehrman, the pole sitter here tonight, sitting in 7th, just behind his single file is the order of the day for these guys, with Michael Haflidason running at the head of the line.
Yeah, these guys are getting it sorted out right now, but looks like Eriksson has gotten by Robb for the lead. But that battle for just inside the top 10 from 5th on down, still hot and heavy.
And you know what I'm noticing now is we saw during the first stage, during the first little run of this race, we saw a lot of guys at the top or in the middle. This whole group now is navigated down towards the bottom, trying to get a little bit of extra grip, trying to get a little bit of extra power, cut the racing lap down a little bit, as the bottom line is the one that appears to be prevailing now a little bit, as everyone now goes to the middle and makes a complete liar out of me.
Isn't that always the case?
Ooh, Big block
3
by
wide,
Eriksson.
good grief.
That is the fun thing about putting GT3 and road racers in an oval car is they're not afraid to make these moves. And for the most part, they stick.
Apparently they've watched Days of Thunder one too many times.
Hey, they're making it work. It's sticking.
More power to them.
And part of that is GT3 racing. If you get a spot, if you get a little bit of a look, you have to go and take it because you never know when you're going to get it again. Oval cars, you can tend to get a little relaxed as far as, okay, that's a little bit of a lane, but I'm not in the best position right now, so I'll let it slide because I know I'll get it back in a couple of laps. GT3 racing, that's not the case. If you don't take your open lane, you may not get it again, and that might be what we're seeing here.
That's true for most of road racing, to be honest with you, Frank. Not just GT3, but it also works for open wheel the same way.
Very true.
Wasn't it Ayrton Senna that said if you go for a gap that's no longer there, you're not a racing driver?
Something along those lines. Probably one of the most overused quotes in racing history. And Jonas Gunnarsson now leading the second group. The lead group has been taken back over by Hugo Raab. I should say the lead pair, not the lead group. As Hugo Raab back out in front. Jesper Eriksson just behind. Stefan Wang has closed the gap on the front two and has built a 4-second gap for himself over this group that we've been watching here. And again, because they took tires, they're out in front big.
They are, but again, they put themselves behind the 8-ball. That, you know, if we get a late race caution where you're going to need to come down and put a fresh set of shoes on, they're going to be sitting ducks on that restart.
Now, here's what's happening. We talk about tire fall off and we talk about the tires leveling out and evening out. That's almost happened. Jonas Gunnarsson running in fourth right now, ran a 41.6 his last time by. Race leader Hugo Raab just ran a 40.88. So these lap times are leveling out, and fortunately for the three in front, they've got a 5-6 second lead in order to preserve here as these tires level out.
Right, and that really is what you'd expect. You know, they didn't overdrive it on that first lap, but you know, we are seeing those tires start to level out. As a matter of fact, Jonas Gunnarsson was actually faster than the three in front of him that last time. Or no, I'm sorry, everybody except Stefan Wang. He was faster than two of the three in front of him.
Anton Ehrmann gets a very good run, gets around Michael Haflidason. Jonas Gunnarsson starting to pull away on this group by about a half a second. That 33 of Gunnarsson has pulled lead. We've got 10 laps to go until the end of this stage. And in the middle of this group, a lot of side-by-side racing. It's the 58 of Kim Nyholm. Look to the inside of the 044 of Philip Bjork.
And you've also got Dan Homer and Anton Bratberg right there with them as they're all working with Vilda Whalen, as she's got a strong run going, starting to claw her way back up through this field.
Andre Solander up here towards the front of at the front of this group now, running in the fourth position. Anton Ehrmann now looks to the inside, and that's what we were talking about before, Tony. No lead is safe, especially on a racetrack like this.
Well, unless you're Hugo Raab right now, because...
well, not even. He's only got 3/10.
Well, he does only have 3/10, but you take a look at him and Eriksson, they're 7 seconds over this battle back here for fourth.
Yeah, they're having a very nice ride of it here to the end of this stage. But again, that comes at the cost of that extra set of tires that everyone is going to come in now and take at the stage break, which is only a handful of laps away.
And you got to feel for Anton Ehrmann, as right now he has an angry pack of Alcantech Hornets right behind him.
Andre Solander, Eric Blix, the highest he's been in that 95, the blue Alcantech machine. Jonas Gunnarsson, Daniel Solo, Michael Haflidason. It's a row of 5 running right behind him. So Team Superior resting on Anton Ehrman right now. His Alcantech
battle for the lead.
Very close as Hugo Raab and Jesper Eriksson go side by side up at the front. And for that lap, it would have been Hugo Raab had the stage ended right there.
However, it did not, as we've got 2 to go in this stage, as Eriksson just sends it going into 1. Raab going to try to cross him over, coming out of turn number 2. Drag race down the back straightaway. And this is 7.5 seconds over that battle we were watching for 4th, and they're starting to let Stefan Wong claw them back in.
Wong is sitting right there. He was about a half a second faster than Jesper Eriksson last time around, and Eriksson was 0.2 quicker than Hugo Raab that last time around as Raab takes turn 4 a little bit too wide, catches the wall, but still holds on to the lap.
White flag in the air for this stage.
Lap 45.
Oh, we're 45. I'm sorry. I thought you
Yes.
said lap 40.
No, 45.
Okay, so 5 to go. And it's Hugo Raab and Jesper Eriksson going after each other.
One of the former winners of this race, Daniel Holmer, has just jumped up into the 4th spot. So that's 79 rolling as well. And he also came in on lap 18, but only a 7-second stop, which to me means fuel only.
That's exactly what that means. But that is an angry hornet's nest behind him. With the 42 of Ehrman. Oh my goodness.
Philip York going 3 wide in that 044 down at the bottom. He's on same tires as everyone else around him. That 044 has really started to make a charge up here at the latter stages of the stage. 3 wide between Gunnarsson, Ehrman, and Solander.
And the teammates wanting to get it sorted out between themselves as they're all trying to figure out what they've got to do to get around that 044 of York. Still 2 and 3 wide in the mid-pack. And Frank, this is insane as Eriksson and Raab still going after each other for the lead.
Anton Ehrman really starting to fall back now. 3 wide allows Kim Nyholm and Jonas Skoglund to go by. Skoglund, one of the Bright Esports cars, has been running towards the back, and if that's anything to go by, Daniel Holmer has pulled about 3/4 of a second on the rest of this group by himself. Just goes to show how much he's saved his tires. And Jonas Skoglund, who also came in on lap 18 for fuel only, doing the same charge.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, these guys are... Oh, yeah.
Philip York is going to be coming in, sliding through the grass. Unsafe pit entry. Larson coming in. 19 Pontus Nielsen in as well. Robert Erling in the back is in.
So even with the 2 cautions, some of these guys are only able to go 43 laps.
2 laps to go to the end of this stage. The next driver who has not come into pit at all for fuel is Andre Solander up here in the 041. That might be why we're seeing guys like Jonas Skoglund, Robert Lundgren in the 20 as well. Guys start to make their way up through the field. Guys that have come into pit know that they're okay on fuel and are starting to work their way up for guys who are trying to save.
That's exactly what it looks like as in the 140, Solander has everybody around him has pit the car at least once, except for Eric Blix.
Daniel Solo working his way up through the field. Solander, Blix, Solo have not come in. Connie Lundell on the very bottom there. We saw Connie Lundell around on lap 3 down the back straightaway. As we have one more lap to go here until the end of this stage. Jesper Eriksson with a 4/10 of a second lead right now as we'll go back to the big pack here. Jonas Gunnarsson 3 wide on the bottom. Daniel Solo in the middle. Solander the outside. Blixt is out there as well.
Blixt is out there as well. It was Lundell trying to get a run going into 3.
Coming to the line to end the stage, it will be Jesper Eriksson taking the stage victory. And once the top 10 crosses the line, the caution will come out. And that's going to be quite close because here's the battle for the top 10. Tony, you tell me who finished where in that.
Jesper Eriksson coming home with the stage victory. Hugo Robb, Stefan Wong, Dan Homer, Robert Lundgren, Dan Solo, Andre Salander, Eric Blixt, Linus Broström, and Jonas Gunnarsson getting the final point.
I should have said no cheating. Marcus Stiller and Anton Ehrman have had an issue here after. I believe those two have run out of fuel. Here is Marcus Stiller down the back straightaway. Yup, he is out of fuel. Anton Ehrman the same, out of fuel. The two Team Superior cars running out at the end of the stage. We'll take a quick break and we will be right back here from Michigan International Speedway. Jesper Eriksson, your stage winner here at Michigan. Back for round number 4 here at Michigan International Speedway. Just ended the first stage. Jesper Eriksson taking the stage win, but it was Hugo Robb, as we saw, winning the race off of pit road in the number 21, so it will be Rob with the honors of starting on the front row. And 4 guys like Hugo Robb, Jesper Eriksson, Stefan Wong as well in the 85. These guys will not have the pleasant advantage of starting with 25 lap fresher tires than everybody else this time around.
No, they won't, because we did see wholesale pit stops. We actually saw some guys run out of fuel right at the end of that stage and could not get it back around as they just extended the caution.
I guess some guys who were down pit road not able to get back towards the back of the line. We do have a couple of cars no longer on the lead lap. Philip Carlin in the 22. Jakob Larson, Philip York, Marcus Stiller, Anton Ehrmann, Dennis Schrepp are all off of the lead lap. Philip Broberg done for the day after just turning a lap and a half in the 117. Anton Ehrmann and Marcus Stiller currently running multiple laps down after running out of fuel at the end of the first stage. For Anton Ehrmann, that is a huge bummer after starting on pole for this race.
Yeah, the race definitely looked promising until it didn't for him. But as the field works its way into the Geico restart zone, oh wait, no, we're going another. The lights are going out on the pace truck this time.
So we will be going back to green flag racing, taking lap 51 of 124. Should be a race all the way to the finish from here. Just 2 cautions here tonight, not including the stage break. One for a spin by Philip Broberg on lap 2. And then on lap 17, a big mess. Dennis Schrepp, Pontus Nilsson, and Jonas Force colliding out of turn 4. And that has been it as far as incidents go here tonight. Coming back to green to start the second half of this race, quote unquote second half of this race. Green flag is in the air.
As Hugo Robb gets a decent jump. Dan Homer, though, right there with him. Homer currently sitting plus 29 as he's trying to claw his way, continuing to claw his way forward. Jesper Eriksson working the outside up in the front. As just as I say that, Holmberg makes a liar out of me and starts to drop spots.
Now, Daniel Homer is a former race winner here at Michigan. Taking a look back at when he would have won. I'm sorry, that was Peter Helmbrow, pardon me, that won the race here in Season 3. Was the season opener in Season 3.
And he's currently sitting right behind Homer and Skoglund.
Daniel Solo, the winner of Season 2 here at Michigan. Linus Broström, the winner of the first race here at Michigan. As Hugo Robb really on a roll here.
Absolutely. Didn't get the qualifying attempt he was looking for, but definitely shows that he has the race pace to do what he needs to do to get it done here tonight. As he's already pulled out almost 3/4 of a second, now almost a full second over Stefan Wong.
It's by far and away the longest season of the series for these guys. These guys are used to running 8 race cup schedules, and now we've more than doubled it up to 18.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to turn into a test of attrition here before too long. We'd be about halfway through the season by now.
Yeah, pretty much. But definitely a lot of battling going on right now, just inside the mid part of the top 10. As here comes Homer back to the inside on Solo, trying to make something happen.
Peter Helmbrow leading the second group there in that number 77. Linus Broström back from his trip to the U.S., which is why he missed Sonoma 2 weeks ago and Imola last week. Went to Talladega and went to Charlotte last week.
And made a detour through Atlanta, got a tour of that facility.
And as I smartly said in the chat, well, we were talking a little bit before the race, as I very smartly said, I would ask if you got home safe, but you're talking to me right now, so I guess you kind of did.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Emily,
Battle just inside the top 10 is...
Battle inside
Mike,
the top
I just noticed
20.
something.
We were 4 wide towards the back there.
Tell me what you see on the 016.
Oh, that's not new. We noticed that at Daytona.
Okay, apparently I don't remember that, but anyways. So the only BMW in the field. Trying to work that outside lane as here comes the 044 back to the inside.
So the Liesnich in the 016 BMW M3. Fagral, who also went on that trip to the U.S., which is why she was not here last week, or last time out, I should say. Currently running in the 19th position, Alexander Arilson in the 24, who started on the outside of the front row. We are really, we're
there it
having
is.
some fun here in the midfield. Contact in the back. Wasn't Eric Lundberg, it was the sister car. Christoph Girios, and around they go. The 016 in there as well. Liesnich, caution is out. '52 of Haflidason Johansson there as well. Appeared to be a couple of others, as that was right in the midfield. Right where we had been looking.
Looks like it started with the 36 of Euros.
Take a look and see, because that was the car I saw on the wall. Yep. Urios in the 36 up in the fence. Kim Nyholm spins around the 016. Saying that as if the 016 wasn't already having issues.
Yeah, it actually started with a 4 wide situation. The 016 gets pinched up.
48 took a hard hit, so did 19. Let's take a look at this on board. Liesnich. 044 in the 36 is what really kicked it off, and then slowing up. Dennis Schrepp takes a hard hit on the outside. See this from Haflidason Johansson's perspective. Yeah, that 016 was just trying to slow up, and the 52 of Johansson was almost clear, but Bjorn Brostrom came through. Watch here the 41 in this shot here. 52 tries to come down to avoid the 016, and the 41 was there.
It's an unfortunate chain of events, and guys getting a little antsy. There's still a ton of racing left, and there really wasn't a need to take it 4 wide at that point.
It was nice and calm right up until that point.
It had been, yeah.
And a nice long green flag run, really from lap 24 all the way to the end of the stage break.
And I'd like to thank all the drivers who are teaching me all sorts of curse words in Swedish right now.
There it is. It's an educational experience for all of us, I think.
Good grief. Still no reply to my query as to new merch for the corporation.
Soar Futuristic in the Twitch chat, we talked about it earlier. We're using Caster to be able to dual stream this on Twitch and on YouTube as well. Unfortunately, through Caster, we do not have the ability to change the name of the Twitch stream. Otherwise, it would not be their Porsche event, I guess, that they ran over the course of the week. But glad you are enjoying either way.
And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single moment of action here on Sim Racing Media. As we still have a ton of racing left this week, Frank. And this is only the first race of a triple header tonight.
Yep, so we got a lot going on here in many, many different ways here at SRM. Getting busier and busier by the day. We're going to have a lot of off days here coming up lately as series take time off for the end of their season, for Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas as well. So we will have a lot of time off, and the schedule might be looking a little bit lighter here in the next couple of months, but once we hit January and February, we're going to be right back on it again. As the green flag set to come out, there it is, working lap 60 of 124 here from Michigan. Hugo Robb out in front.
Rob out in front as here comes Skoglund on the inside of Wong. He's got the 13 of Solo glued to his back bumper right now as they haul it off into 1 and 2. As we go back green, Wong trying to hang tough on the top shelf as Skoglund trying to get the run, going to slot in behind Wong. Skoglund's around.
Saved it. Somebody else going around. Boy, we're going to have to look at that again because somehow, some way, everyone stayed straight enough to not wreck. Unbelievable. It's where you look and just say how, just how.
Yeah, pretty much. Kind of started with, looks like Skoglund and Solo may have had a meeting of the minds coming off of 2.
Take a look at this again here. Jonas Skoglund in the 83 going down into turn 1. He's going to get loose. Solo very close in the 13. Oh, no, they did touch. Somehow staying straight. Everyone fanning out down this very wide back straightaway to avoid.
This is the first league I've seen somebody get a car that sideways in the next gen and be able to save it.
A very, very big save there from Jonas Skoglund, who right now is working his way back up. Only fell down to about 14th, 15th position. He's already back up to 10th.
He is. I mean, he didn't lose that many spots when you think about it. And, you know, we stay green, so, you know, that's always a plus. But battling going on right around 14th and 15th, Jonas Spors and Vilda Whalen going after each other.
Side by side up in front for second, Stefan Wong and Daniel Holmer. In the 79, Bright Esports machine on the inside line trying to move forward as this field is really shuffled up. It's the furthest up we've seen Kenneth Tier. The furthest up we've seen the 18 of Eric Lundberg. We've got a lot of new names up here towards the front.
We do at that. Dan Bloomquist sitting plus 25, currently sitting just outside the top 10 as well. Trying to figure out what he's got to do to get around the 114 of Andre Salander.
Running on board with Bloomquist. Some connection issues plaguing there. Oi! Well, Tony, you might not have seen how close that was, but with the camera we had, we certainly saw how close that was.
Yeah, no, I saw it. I had my mic muted because I was coughing at the time.
There we go. Now we can get out of it. Michael Haflidason in the 81. Currently running up in 9th. Jesper Eriksson, who won the stage just outside the top 10 as we're battling for the lead here. Hugo Robb, Stefan Wong. Side by side for the race lead. Linus Broström, Daniel Holmer, side by side for third.
As Brostrom did give Wong a little toot from the chrome horn going into 1, and that shot Wong down the track as a little bit of connection issues for Dan Solo, but throw a blanket over your top 10 right now.
A little slap of the wall there by Hugo Robb in the 21 as we ride on board with him. Just below the splitters, just below the rear spoilers where this camera is located here.
Love that shot.
See how interesting these races can get from cameras that aren't necessarily, one, the television cameras, and two, the same onboard shots that we keep giving you. Give you a little bit difference, variation every now and again as Homer slides up into second.
One of the hardest working men at Sim Racing Media, Frank Marchese, giving you all the great camera angles.
This is where you hand me the Emmy, right?
No, we hand you the Razzie.
That's the end of the year. Never mind.
No, we hand you the Razzie.
I don't know what that is. If something's telling me I don't want to know.
It's like an Oscar, but it's the worst movie of the year.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Anyways.
I needed that boost today. Thank you.
You know, it's kind of like your Mets. Folks, be sure to send the flowers to Bellevue Funeral Home, Auburn, New York, 13021.
Side-by-side contact between Daniel Homer and Hugo Robb. Linus Brostrom trying to take advantage on the bottom. Brostrom will back off. Homer and Robb going back at it side by side for the race lead once again.
Homer sitting plus 31, did not get the qualifying attempt he was hoping for. As Robb almost up into the wall, that causes Brostrom to have to take a base of action. And here comes Stefan Wong to try to pick off the third.
Was a big wiggle out of that 21. At the back of this group, Eric Lundberg side by side with Kenneth Tier. Back a little bit more through the field. This is the teen. We're in the later teens here. This is where all the drivers that were leading this race during this first half of this race, the first stage, they're all occupied right around here, 15th on back.
Yeah, not sure exactly what happened there. I mean, the pit stops don't seem to be off pace.
Jonas Gunnarsson running in 19th. Eric Blixt in 17th. That's Emily Fagrell in the number 4 down on the bottom. Kim Nyholm was up towards the front, running in 21st. Jesper Eriksson still has not gotten up through the field. Running in 14th now is the 37.
Kim Nyholm trying to do a recovery run, starting to pick his way up through the field.
Gunnarsson going 3 wide on Blixt and on Fagrell through 3 and 4, and will make it work at least for the moment. That 4 in the middle keeping in very, very close tabs on that 33. And that's part of the reason why the bottom doesn't work here. Well, one is, as we had mentioned earlier tonight, it's flatter than the rest of the racetrack, but also you can't push up and try to take that momentum off, so you're slowing your exit down, which really hurts you down these long straightaways.
Yeah, unfortunately it absolutely does, but some good battling, you know, some side-by-side going on throughout the field, not just in the front, but in the middle section of the field as well. It's Bjorn Brostrom and Connie Lundell going after each other.
It's 25th.
Brostrom on the low side.
25th and 26th between those two. Going back up to Emily Fagrell, running that bottom line. Holding station down there in that number 4 is the 95 of Eric Blixt and Jonas Force battle side by side at the head of the line.
We are at that. No
Ware
quarter
there
asked
as
for,
well.
no quarter given either.
Jochen Ware running up in this group as well in the 101, up in 17th. One of the Bright Esports overpower machines.
Has Team Superior's Anton Bradberg underneath him right now. And Jonas Gunnarsson trying to make some headway back up through this field. As he's finally gotten clear of Fagrell.
Bilde Whalen leading this line on the outside, at least for the moment, as Jesper Eriksson looks to the bottom. With Eric Blixt to the inside. Eriksson does take the spot ahead of the 29. Getting a rear view mirror full of pink ribbon right now. Is that 37? Battle for 13th right up here at the top of this group. 2 seconds off the main pack.
And the caboose in that freight train in front of him is going to be Dan Bloomquist in the 487 as he's trying to work around Andre Salander right now. Salander goes way high.
Eric Blixt off the back of that Alcantech number 95. It's going to even out here on the straightaway, but as we get down into the corner, these corners are wide enough. You can see there's 3 different lanes forming. Jochen Ware right up there on the outside line. About the highest one we've seen, and is almost catching the wall out of 2 is the 101.
That could have gotten very ugly very quickly. Luckily, everybody heads up driving to avoid getting into each other.
Back up towards the front. After this 3 wide sorts itself out. Between the 77 of Hellbro, the 33 of Gunnarsson, and the 101 of Jochen Ware. Emily Fagrell sticking her nose in there, making it 4 wide going into turn 1. Gunnarsson on the high line, though, is the one that makes it stick. Going back up to the front, we have a lot of close racing here. It's all single file, but it's very, very close, nose to tail. Arilton back up in the 24, up into 5th. Stefan Wong side by side now with Jonas Skoglund, who's still trying to recover from that earlier incident with Daniel Solo, who currently runs in 3rd.
And bear with me, Frank, because I got to relog.
And while Tony's doing that, we'll take this time to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching round number 4 action here from Michigan just prior to the pit cycle here at the 2 Mile Oval. We'll be back right after this. Back here at Michigan International Speedway for round number 4 of the Svenska eRacinligan's Cup Series, as we are getting closer and closer to pit stops as Daniel Holmer and Daniel Solo get closer and closer to each other. Coming out of turn number 4, working lap 84 of 124, 41 laps to go here at the big 2-mile oval.
Only a handful of laps left in this stage 2.
No stages. No more stages.
Huh?
We've done the stages already. No more. It's
Thought
only
there were
one.
2.
No.
Oh, only one stage break. Oh, okay. What do I know?
How long have we been doing this?
Hey, tequila was involved. Get off me.
Solo, Brostrom, and Holmer have enjoyed a very nice run up here at the front of this field, but now they're starting to get a little bit close and personal with each other. All three of them are. As Brostrom on the bottom looking for the race lead, and this fighting here between these three have brought that second group back within reach. Hugo Robb in the 21, who finished second at the stage break. Alexander Arildsson, who started second. Stefan Wang, who's finished third at the stage break, are all up here now. Daniel Blomqvist up here as well in the 487.
As you would expect, but think back to when we were talking prior to going green. I told you that Brostrom, Solo, and Homer were probably going to be up towards the front as they've got a lot of experience here. And here they are with Hugo. Excuse me.
Oy.
That could have gotten ugly.
Solo did catch the wall there coming out of turn 2. As Daniel Holmer now will look to take advantage in that bright esports machine, number 79 on the inside line. Hugo Robb almost catching the wall out of turn 4. Alexander Arildsson looking to jump on it in that number 24. Some of the guys that were up towards the front still have not caught their way back up. Jesper Eriksson, the winner of the stage, still stuck in 13th. Jonas Gunnarsson, who was running up at the top 5 all race long, down in 17th. Eric Blixt there as well, running in 16th. Some guys have been able to make it through. Others just, for whatever reason, have not.
One of the biggest heartbreaks of today, your pole sitter, Anton Ehrman, unfortunately ran out of gas at the end of stage 1, had to tow.
There is Anton Ehrman right there, running 33rd position after Tony had mentioned running out of fuel. Dennis Schrepp suffering the, or probably no, it was not Dennis Schrepp, was it?
No, it was his teammate.
Dennis Schrepp is his teammate.
And yes, it was Dennis Schrepp.
Well, there's more. Okay. Let's take a look and find out here. Instead of guessing. Marcus Stiller is who it was. In the 013, there is Stiller. He suffered the same fate as well, running out of fuel at the stage break, and I think he might be coming into pit road now. Yes, he is. Emily Fagerl in pit road as well. I would say not of consequence to force the top guys to start thinking about coming down, as Alexander Arildsson has found his way up into second spot.
He has at that is Daniel Blomqvist taking a run at Blomqvist, Wang, and Haflidason going after each other as Wang peels off to bring it pit side. You know, this is what we're going to need. We're going to see, now that you're well within the you can make it from here category, we're going to see those green flag pit stops start to file out.
Hilda Whalen down pit road as well. Kenneth Tier down as well. Hugo Robb coming back out on track. You just saw him flash up in front. Jonas Forss was the driver of the Force Esports machine that was getting around these top 4, getting a lap back. Linus Brostrom looks like he might be coming in. Yes, he is. Bringing Daniel Holmer down pit road with him. Bloomquist, Haflidason, Solander, all coming in. A big group of guys coming in. Gunnarsson, Blixt at the back as well. Skoglund, Eriksson, Helmbro. A lot of guys in here.
As we've got a couple more guys trying to stay out, try to make something happen. As there is Wong coming out of the pits right in front of your leader, Alexander Eriksson, as he's got Dan Solo glued to his back bumper. And here we go.
Eriksson in, Solo
Stays out.
Oh, wow, they both stay out. Was not expecting that out of those two. Jochen Huer coming in the 101. He pits from third. Bjorn Brostrom in the 41 down pit road as well. Boy, they are line astern here. The 24 and 13 down the back straightaway. There goes Linus Brostrom. Boy, Brostrom's going to have a massive lead coming out of this. Boy, big battling behind them as well. Took them a second to get themselves sorted out.
Actually, Frank, no, he's not. The lead of the race, effective race lead, goes to Hugo Robb.
Oh, you're right. Official race leaders are in. Both Eriksson and Solo come down pit road. Connie Lundell will lead that lap. Robert Erling, the only other driver that has not come into pit in that 82. And you're right, Tony, Hugo Robb is going to be the effective race leader here, running in fifth right now, 3.5 seconds ahead of Jonas Forss, who is a second and about 2 seconds ahead of Linus Brostrom, who just passed Stefan Wong.
Wong and Brostrom starting to go after each other now. And then just outside the top 10, throw a blanket over 11th through 15th.
Daniel Holmer, Alexander Eriksson battling side by side. Vilda Whalen there as well. Boy, very close between the 79 of Holmer and Vilda Whalen as well. Johan Larsson in the 57 up here for position as well.
That is an angry pack of Hornets from 7th on back.
All these guys back on fresh tires for the first time in quite some time since the end of the stage. Connie Lundell still out in front. Now Lundell and Erling both came in on lap 57. That caution that came out just after the stage went back green. As Linus Brostrom now battling Jonas Forss for second, well, the effective second place. And now has to try to make up 6 seconds, well, 5 3/4 seconds on Hugo Robb, who would have the effective race lead right now.
Yeah, it's definitely shaking things up a bit with this long green flag run. The question is, how much longer can Lundell and Erling stay out there, as those guys were last down on lap 57. Everybody else, lap 81 or after, has been down pit road, and well within the you can make it from here phrase.
Lundell might have been trying to go down pit road, but the 41 of Brostrom ended up right to the inside at the worst possible time for that 91, as you could hear, running very slowly down the back straightaway here. Car's still running, is that 91, and now Connie Lundell getting to the bottom, signaling that he will be coming in.
Made the call right there after you got clear of Brostrom that he was coming down.
Letting more credence to, yeah, the 91 was trying to come down last time too, I think.
Looks like the 82 is going to stay out. So Erling going to stay out.
And Erling will get a lap led in that Forza Esports number 82, so move Hugo Robb up to second. Linus Brostrom has made up a half a second on Hugo Robb. Stefan Wong battling still right there with Linus Brostrom, a 2-second gap up to back to Daniel Holmer, and everyone here running single file, so they should catch the two in front rather quickly.
At least you would think they would.
Only one driver left to not pit, and that is that man right there, the 82 of Robert Erling. Part of the Forza Esports team, the management derivative of that team. Hugo Robb running in second right now, and that is the gap. Hugo Robb, one of the very few independents here in this series, and I think Robert Erling is either going to come in this time, which he's not, or he's going to come in after Hugo Robb makes the pass, which at that point means, yep, I've already lost it, may as well come in now.
I mean, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Here comes Rob with a full head of steam down the backstretch. Erling going to give him the inside, not really contested, going into three, side by side. And Erling's got to come pit side soon.
Lance came in on lap 57.
Here he goes.
I think, yep, Erling coming in. I've lost the lead. May as well pit now. As that passing by, Anton Ehrmann, who's still several laps down, running in 33rd, bringing Linus Broström with him. Now, here's the interesting bit with Hugo Robb and Linus Broström. They came in 2 laps apart. Robb on lap 88, Broström on lap 90. Broström, that last time around, was 9/10 of a second quicker than Hugo Robb. Robb did a 40.86, Broström a 40 flat. Where, oh where, has that second gone out of the 21? Now, granted, there's been a little bit of draft that Broström has had, but Robb, that's not enough for a full second difference between the two.
Well, there's another half a second right there on that last lap. And, you got to wonder, did it rattle Robb when he had to go around the last car to go down pit road? Did it rattle him a little bit?
Well, Hugo Robb is also running that outside line as Anton Ehrmann just outside lined the guy running on the outside line. See what happens here as they cross the line this time. Another 7/10 of a second. So Robb running the outside line, Broström running the middle. I can't see how that's a full second difference around this racetrack.
Well, I mean, just take a look at the speeds these guys are going. Robb is letting off a little bit more in the corners than Broström is.
So Robb trying to preserve what he has for the final 22 laps here.
Broström sends it. Oh no, that's not Broström, sorry.
That was one of the Forza Esports cars. That was the 82 of Erling.
Yeah.
Who had come down pit road, we just saw. So Erling in the 82 gets his lap back. That would mean Marcus Stiller in the 013 is the first driver not on the lead lap. Currently running in the 29th position. Only 2 retirements here tonight thus far. Philip Broberg on lap 2. Dennis Schrepp on lap 44. Philip Carlin is in the pits repairing that number 22 machine. It's only 2 retirements of the 38 drivers that we've seen start this race tonight.
And Frank, we got business picking up from 4th on back as Eraldson, Holmer, Salander, and Eriksson going after each other. And don't count out Dan Solos. He's right there within striking distance as well.
And this group is 4 seconds off of the top 3. Hugo Robb and Linus Broström now are together for the race lead. Stefan Wang is about a second and a half off up in front and has a Rildsen a second back running in fourth.
And we are 20 to go right now as Robb leads Broström and Wang. Wang two full seconds adrift off this lead pair. And Broström and Robb know how to get it done on the oval. The question is, how bad do they want it?
Broström looking to the inside of Hugo Robb, looking for the race lead, and Robb will give it up, not with too much of a fight, as in a heads-up duel. In a heads-up duel, you would want to be in second here. You do not necessarily want to be the race leader coming down to the white flag at a racetrack like this.
No, you absolutely don't, because the draft plays such a huge role here. You're pretty much a sit and duck, or you're probably going to wreck both of you if you're leading and trying to maintain it for the entirety of the final lap this close together.
And with Robb conserving as much as he has, allowing Linus Broström to pull that 6-second gap back in, that could also play a huge factor. Another huge factor looms 2.5 seconds away. That is Alexander Rildsen currently running in the third position, bringing a massive group with him.
And it kind of answers the question I was about to ask, is did Stefan Wang go too hard too soon? The answer is a definite maybe, as Homer, Eriksson, Solo, and Salander right on his heels.
Homer going right down to the bottom, Solo right up at the top. Jesper Eriksson, the stage winner, right there as well. Salander, Haflidason, Blomqvist, Gunnarsson, Blixt, all in this group. Vilda Whalen about a second off of this group that stretches from third position all the way down to 12th. And they are closing on the top pair. Hugo Robb has not allowed Linus Broström to get away. Rildsen was 2 seconds back, 2.2 seconds back. He's now a second and a half off the top pair.
And starting to close that gap quickly as the battle still rages on from fourth on back. That's Homer, Wang, Solo, 3 wide coming across the stripe, 3 wide going into turn number 1.
Solo on the bottom, Homer in the middle, Wang on the outside. Across the line on that 3 wide, and that's part of the reason why Rildsen has now grown a 1.3 second advantage on this group here. So he's been able to get up and get out and drive away from this battle and drive towards the top 3.
Pontius Nilsson decides to call it a night. Puts that car on the hauler early.
19 has had a couple of excursions here tonight. Cloud cover really playing an effect now, as Linus Broström now has gotten out to a 0.7 of a second lead over Hugo Robb in that 21. And if Hugo Robb has saved, if Hugo Robb's been saving, it's starting to get to the point where now he's got to start to show what he's been saving again.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting down to crunch time. As you know, we're about to be 10 to go. Sorry, 14 to go.
It's a big pack here. Wadded up from 4th all the way to 12th. Daniel Homer leading the pack. Solo, Haflidason, Eriksson, Wang, Gunnarsson, Salander, Blomqvist, and Blixt all in this group.
And Frank, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but with that cloud cover that's really covering this track right now, we've actually lost track temperature from the start of this race.
It was 34 degrees Celsius at the start of the race. It is now down to 28 degrees. So we've lost a very good amount of track temp, which is going to help these guys be able to grip up a little bit and also create a little bit more power.
Just a little bit more, as the water grain's still pretty high right now, but you know, those cooler temperatures definitely are helping out the guys that maybe pushed a little harder earlier than they were intending to. They're not being punished as severely right now.
I think Hugo Robb has been one of those guys that has benefited greatly from being in the pack and being in the draft, because Brostrom just did this time by a 41.05. Eriksson behind in third just did a 41.07. Hugo Robb 2/10 slower than both of those guys.
Actually, he had the slowest time of the top 5 the last time by.
This is
because Mikael Haflidason also went 41.06.
Seeing another car added to that group. That's the 044 of Philip Bjork. He is not for position in this group, as we're 3 wide here, battling for position. Gunnarsson gets the block from Eriksson down at the bottom, coming off of turn 4, 11 to go.
These guys still haven't given up any yet, Frank, as it's the 37 of Eriksson working the inside of Homer. Homer caught up on that top shelf, as the 81 of Haflidason does have some clean air in front of him. The question is, which rival team does he want to pick up?
That was a very unique line by Haflidason to stick right to the yellow line coming out of turn 2 there. As Gunnarsson now looks to the inside, Daniel Solo looking to follow his Alcantech teammate through. Same thing with Andre Solander in the 040, or the 140, pardon me. As Homer blocks off Gunnarsson's little run. And then Gunnarsson throws it in on Eriksson.
And pinches him up the track, so not giving Eriksson a run that's going to let Gunnarsson get the run coming down the backstretch. As here comes Eriksson back on the high side. Is Dan Solo going to slot in behind Gunnarsson and try to push his Alcantech teammate? 3 wide.
Pushing. Oh boy. Eriksson in the middle. Gunnarsson on the bottom. Homer on the outside. This is really allowing Haflidason to get away. Battle for second now between Hugo Robb and Alexander Eriksson. Linus Brostrom 1.3 seconds clear of these two. Eriksson takes the spot.
Eriksson doing what he's got to do to get another step on that podium.
They're still 3 wide. Oh, watch out, Gunnarsson and Eriksson getting very close.
Oy.
Homer,
Contact.
yep, that's around. That's Solander around. Caution comes out with 9 laps to go. Daniel Blomqvist was the other one. Boy, neither one of them wreck and neither one of them lose big. But there is Linus Brostrom's 2.5 and extending lead gone.
Now the question is, Frank, a lot of these guys still have at least one set of tires on the wall. Do you take them, or do you let you roll the dice?
You have to at this point. They're almost 30 laps old. Watch the run that Blomqvist gets here and just wasn't down far enough and runs into the rear corner of Solander. Take a look at this on board from Daniel Blomqvist.
One of them racing deals.
Just wasn't down far enough as he got the run. And again, fortunately, both of those cars stay straight. But they went they went sideways enough. And yep, here comes everybody. Last time these guys came down to pit was between lap 85 and 91. And we are going to have a fresh tire, about 5-lap shootout to the finish.
This is when it gets good.
Stopping in their box clean appears to be everyone. Brostrom 4 tires. Eriksson, oh, Daniel Solo, I think, took 2. So did Hugo Robb, possibly. Brostrom wins the race off of pit road, and Solo took 2. Daniel Solo in the 13, making an I am going to win this race by hook or by crook decision. Took 2 tires. Andre Solander in the 140 took 2 tires as well. Now, Tony, it gets fun.
That's one way to put it.
And from what we've seen with these cars, the tires don't really wear all that much, especially the lefts. So if you have a set of left side tires on this car that have about 90% health, it's still going to feel somewhat like 4 fresh tires.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be too bad.
It's definitely the rights, and as you had rightly pointed out, the right rear that take the beating around here as you try to push and get position as the 2 wave around cars go by. And we will have 5 laps to go to determine who will come out as the race winner here tonight. Linus Brostrom looking for his 2nd of the season. Michael Haflidason restarting in 5th. That orange number 81, 3rd car on the inside line. Looking for his 1st of the year, looking for his 2nd of the year. Everyone else looking for their 1st.
I mean, it's been an amazing race that we've seen here so far, Frank. And you know, you hate to have it kind of come down to this, but I kind of think Dan Solo may have just shot himself in the foot.
Was it 3 green, white checkers?
Not yet.
Well, no, not yet, but I believe it is 3 attempts.
I believe it's
that we
3
get
attempts,
at it.
yeah.
So the drivers on 2 tires here are the 13 race lead and the 140 3rd car on the outside line. Older tires do tend to spin up a little bit more on the restart, so that is something we're going to have to pay attention to here. Green flag is back out. 5 laps to go. Everyone gets away fairly clean.
So far, so good anyways, as Brostrom and Eriksson going side by side, going into 1. Here comes the 81 of Haflidason and Hugo Robb right there as well, looking to make it 3 wide. Thinks better of it yet.
Eriksson has been very, very good on these shorter runs, and you can see everyone wiggling and hard backwards is the 33 of Jonas Gunnarsson. Caution is out, and we will now
go into
to
overtime.
A green-white checkered. We mentioned it right at the top of the broadcast that these cars do get very, very loose on fresh tires.
Oh.
And that appeared to be it. Might have had a little bit of help, I guess, from Tony's reaction. We'll see it here. There's Gunnarsson, the 140. Oh, the 81 getting loose.
The 21 and the 81 both got loose. The 81 tried to chase it up the track. Only problem is the 33 and the 104 were there.
33 got spooked a little bit from what it looked like on the overhead shot. We'll ride on board with Gunnarsson here. Watch the 81 start to come back up the track, and as the 33 was trying to avoid getting into the 81, ended up turning right up across the nose of the 140. And that's how quick it happens.
And cold tires can be blamed on all of that.
Absolutely. Andre Solander has brought it down pit road. to repair the damage on the right front of that, of the left front, pardon me, of that number 140. Might have some right front damage as well, but there's a lot more on the left front. That whole hood is kind of scooped down under the front clip.
Yeah, that does not look healthy at all.
Chance to see it. Unfortunately, we won't. And when you make a decision like 2 tires, when everyone else is going to make 4, this is part of the thinking that goes into it, is there are going to be a lot of cautions, or hoping to be a lot of cautions, between now and when I need to actually finish this race. So if I can just hold on long enough, wait for those cautions to come out, and then get a good enough restart on the last attempt, maybe, just maybe, I can sneak this win.
Well, stranger things have happened.
Solander and Gunnarsson are in the pits right now. Marcus Stiller on the back straightaway just got his lap back, so Stiller running in 27th, back on the lead lap here. Andre Solander, Jonas Gunnarsson back out on the racetrack. They will stay on the lead lap. So Anton Ehrman currently running in 30th after starting on the pole and running out of fuel at the end of the stage, is the next car to get a lap back.
The only problem is he's still 2 laps down.
Should be just enough to get to the final green-white checkered, and then he still has to start at the very back of the line.
Good luck. As we are doing attempt 1 of 3. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with how this works, green flag will come out, and the field races itself all the way back around. The leader has to cross the start-finish line to take the white flag for us to race back to checkers. If anything pops off prior to that, we're going to rack them, stack them, and try it again for up to 3 attempts. If at the end of the 3rd attempt we don't get the green-white checker finish that we're hoping for, if something were to happen prior to the white flag coming out, field frozen, race over.
Daniel Solo, Alexander Eriksson on the front row. Linus Broström and Hugo Raab in row 2. And remember what we had said prior to the first caution coming out of these pair. Hugo Raab has been the beneficiary of being in the pack and being able to use that draft, and was able to finish in 2nd in the stage based on that end pit strategy. So we will see what happens here. First green-white checkered attempt is underway. Solo, another very good start.
Solo wastes absolutely no time pulling the triggers. They haul it off into turn number 1. Here comes Broström on the bottom lane, 3 wide with Hugo Raab. Raab wisely backs out of it as the 24 shuts the door on him, going through 1 and 2, still side by side with Broström.
A lot of wiggling still going on throughout this field. Eriksson now trying to make a draft, trying to get the draft up to Daniel Solo. Hugo Raab running in 3rd, goes to the bottom. Solo will look to block. Eriksson gets blocked off on the outside line. We are going to race back to checkers. White flag is out.
Solo, Eriksson, and Raab running 1, 2, 3. Don't count out Broström, Haflidason, and Blex. Right now it is still side by side. Here comes Eriksson to the inside, coming off a 2.
Eriksson got to the bottom a lot quicker than Daniel Solo was able to. Linus Broström using the bottom line, trying to keep Hugo Raab at bay. Raab looks to the very inside, trying to get it 3 wide now. Eriksson in the 24 still holds the momentum in the middle. Daniel Solo on the outside. It is Hugo Raab down at the bottom. Linus Broström pushing Eriksson down the middle, but on the outside line, it is going to be Daniel Solo winning here at Michigan.
Alexander Eriksson hanging on for 2nd. Linus Broström being scored in 3rd. Hugo Robb, plus 22, one of your biggest movers of the night, coming home in 4th. Eric Blix rounding out your top 5.
Daniel Solo by 7/100ths of a second. Uses that momentum from the outside lane and the 2-tire pit strategy to take the race win, the 4th unique winner on the season. And another Alcantech victory. Whew.
What a finish.
Absolutely.
Holy cow.
As Tony had mentioned, Daniel Solo, Alexander Arilson, Linus Broström, by going up the middle instead of staying down at the bottom and pushing Hugo Robb, gets up into 3rd. What a race by this whole Alcantech team. We've seen Michael Haflidason, we saw Gunnarsson, we saw Solander, we saw Blixt. It was really Solo was the furthest one out of it. If you had to pick one, it was Solo that was the furthest one gone. And because of the strategy, wins the race.
Just let it eat completely on the top side that last lap. I don't think he took his foot off the throttle pedal.
Let's take a look as we wait for everyone to get in here for post-race interviews. Let's ride on board with Daniel Solo on that last lap. Down at the bottom here, trying to fend off Arilson. There's Arilson behind. Arilson gets a little bit into that left rear corner. But both of them with a big wiggle. Down the back straightaway, there's Hugo Robb making the run. Arilson has the lead going into 3 and 4, but that momentum on the outside line pushing out. What a race. And what a run to the finish here on what has been one of the more exciting nights that we have seen here in quite some time here on SRM. Tony is with our race winner right now.
Dan Solo ran a pretty reserved race for the most part, but when it came down to crunch time, confirm or deny, did you lift in turns 3 and 4 on that last lap?
Probably. I don't remember. I was just sending it. I had nowhere to go with those 2 tires, so just had to pick the outside and just hope it would stick, and it did. So
talk us through the pit strategy. Is you were one of the ones that did come down early to put tires on. I mean, were you kind of second guessing that when we had such a long green flag run?
Well, we struggled to stay out for the stage there because fuel was an issue, but we just about made it. And I mean, we saved 1 set, so I guess I can bring an extra one to Martinsville next or in 2 weeks. But
if it only worked that way, my friend. If it only worked that way.
Only. We'd have a bunch of tires at the last race. But I don't know. We just sent it there at the end, just hoping it would go green as long as possible, and it worked out really well, especially with taking 2 there at the end.
You had to have been sweating bullets when we went into overtime.
Oh, yeah, of course. One part of me was hoping we'd just have the 1 green-white checker, and then that would be it, because it's so nerve-wracking to have several over and over. But at least we got the end under green, so that's always a nice plus.
Daniel, you mentioned 2 weeks we go to Martinsville here in the Cup Series. Is there any chance you're going to be joining us next week as the GT3 Series goes to Sebring?
GT3? I've never heard of her.
Fair enough, my friend. We're going to let you go celebrate with your team. Who do you need to thank before we turn you loose?
I want to thank Alcantech, SimLab, Niemann, Alamitech, all of my teammates, you guys, for putting on a good broadcast, and of course my hero, Dale Earnhardt, for being with me in the car today.
There you go. Dan Solo, congratulations on getting the win here at Michigan. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Martinsville. And Frank, I believe you've got Alexander with you now.
I do. Alexander Eriksson, you got very, very close, but it being stuck in that middle line there on the final lap, unfortunately, was the undoing. How good, though, was that number 24 today?
It was really fast today. Really fast Haflidason, number 24 car, especially in the long runs, which we had quite a few of today, which was fun for a change. So I think had it gone green there at the end, I think I may have been able to get caught up with Linus and at least challenge him for the win there, but unfortunately that didn't pan out.
How crazy did it get there in the pack on these restarts? Everyone's trying to make up as many positions as they possibly can before you get settled into the long run, but with how loose this car is normally, how crazy did that get?
Well, I was quite far back in most of the restarts early on that we had and at the stage, so I didn't see much because it stacked up quite a bit at the back, so it was quite slow there. But obviously off the corners, the car is loose the first 2 laps, and then after that it's really, really tight though, so it's not too bad.
All right, we head to Martinsville in 2 weeks' time for round number 5 of the Cup Series season. What are your thoughts going into the paperclip in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that track. That and the track after that, Phoenix, is two tracks that I actually like driving in this car as opposed to the bigger tracks. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Anyone else you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank all of my teammates in Force Esports and also our partners, Haflidason and Cupbilarna.
All right. Congratulations, bud. Alexander Eriksson, your second place finisher tonight. Congratulations.
Cheers.
And Tony, that will leave Linus Broström with you, our third place finisher.
All things considered, after taking 2 weeks off, Linus, you didn't have any rink rust, as we call it in the hockey world. Talk us through your race. How do you think it actually went? Do you think you could have held on had we stayed green?
Well, I had the first stage was quite interesting because I was saving from like lap 5 and during the whole first caution, and then I was clutching it the entire stint, and I just managed to make it to the finish. So that was an interesting start to begin with. But yeah, that final stint there, I probably would have held on because he was gaining on average a 10th a lap, plus he had a pass to make. And it was less than 10 to go, and he was over a second behind. So I'm pretty confident I would have held on to get the win there. But, you know, it's NASCAR. Something happened further back, and caution came out, and can't do much after that, you know, just try to hold on. And starting on the outside obviously wasn't the greatest thing. Lost the position and then didn't launch well enough on the last restart. So definitely lost the win there. But still got third place and a stage point, so I think in the championship I'll still be sitting pretty good. But I would have liked those 5 playoff points as well.
Well, Linus, I'm going to have you take your driver baseball cap off and put your league owner cap on. You've got to be impressed with the performance throughout the field tonight, as this was one of the best Michigan races that Frank and I have had the privilege of calling in a long time.
Yeah, it was really nice to see how well it actually went, apart from that thing with the heat race, obviously, but that's not on us. So
yeah, that's an iRacing glitch. We don't count that.
The really early caution made me think like, oh god, no, not another one of these. But then we got like 10 laps for the next caution, and then we went green to the stage, and having the fuel mileage up until the stage made for some chaos there, and people running out of fuel after the yellow flag came out there. We actually told them like, hey, if someone's not up to speed, pass them, and we clear all the black flags after the pit stop, you know, just to let the people who has enough fuel just go and make their pit stop, and then those who run out, they lose their track position like it is in real life. So I think
Absolutely.
we cleared like 15 black flags there at once. So we kind of figured that one out, and then the final stage went really well as well. It was fun to see that we could go for that long on a track like this. And there was some contact and action going on, battles and passes, and nobody crashed until 7 laps ago. I haven't watched what happened yet, but I'm guessing people on different tires, someone making a move, and But I'm really happy with how this played out.
Yeah, absolutely.
As an organizer, as a driver, I hate it because of the cost.
Well, yeah, of course. But I think you're going to get a kick out of some of the saves that were made during that final stage. But we shift gears. 2 weeks, we're going to Martinsville. But next week, we have an even tougher challenge for the GT3 drivers as they go to the monster that is Sebring. What are your thoughts going into that event next week?
Well, I don't really like Sebring. I've driven there a few times. We'll see if I'm going to race it or not. But yeah, it's the reason we put it as a 60-minute race is because that's a track where we feel like endurance should pay off, and it's not really a track to have sprint races. So
right,
that's why it's a 60-minute race. So it's going to be fun to see how people handle that. But I think we all have our guess on who's going to win that race.
Well,
right? And then
yeah, pretty much.
Then
Place your bets,
going to Martinsville in 2 weeks. I'm really excited about that. Me and my fiance are sponsoring that race ourselves.
How does she put up with your shenanigans?
I don't know. I mean, it was her idea to pay for it. So
okay.
I don't know, where did she finish today?
She's definitely a keeper, that's for sure.
22. Oh, that's all right. Yeah. Well, I've got last time I counted, I had 372 official starts at Martinsville and 84 wins. So
yeah, I was going to say
I've seen you into victory lane in 2 weeks.
I've seen you in other leagues do quite well at the paperclip. So definitely good to have you back in the car after taking the much needed break with the fiance. Linus, we're going to let you go celebrate. Who do you need to thank before we turn you loose?
Mabi Hyrbilar, first of all the other sponsors of the league, Cupbilarna, Aria, 88. Can't think of all of them off the top of my head now, but you guys for putting on the broadcast, of course, and then everyone helping out with the organizing the league, all the all the officials and people doing stuff. Admins, yeah. So just everyone involved, and all the drivers for a good clean race, apart from that one driver who caused the final caution. We'll see who that is, but I don't want to thank him.
Fair enough. Linus Brostrom, congratulations on another podium. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Martinsville.
See ya.
And Frank, that's going to put another one in the books for us, but I dare say that the hot and slippery by Superior here at Michigan was neither hot nor slippery compared to what we've seen in the past.
Well, it got a little hot at the end with the way this race finished, but certainly a very good race here at Michigan. We saw short little runs before cautions, and we got a lot of long runs. Green flag pit stops as well. You couldn't really ask for much more going into this race, but Martinsville in 2 weeks, that's going to be a test for sure.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's going to be beaten. It's going to be banging. You're really going to have to be mindful of what's going on around you. And I dare say that, the guys that haven't been racing with a spotter, they're going to need to turn that spotter pack on and have it set to chatty, because you're lost without a spotter at Martinsville.
Yep, absolutely. And with that, we will take a look at the finishing order here for tonight's race. Your race winner, Daniel Solo, becomes the 4th unique winner in 4 races this season. Alexander Arildson, Linus Brostrom, your top 3. We just heard from them. Hugo Robb, Eric Blixt, rounding out the top 5. Michael Haflidason, Jesper Eriksson, Peter Helmbro, Daniel Holmer, and Stefan Wang rounding out the top 10. Vilda Whalen, Jonas Force, Jonas Skoglund, Daniel Blomqvist, and Kim Nyholm rounding out the top 15. Top 20 will be Robert Erling, Kenneth Tier, Martin Liesnich, Antoine Bratberg, and Hyoko Ware. Tony.
Bjorn Brostrom, Emily Forgrell, Robert Lundgren, and Eric Lundberg, along with Jonas Gunnarsson, rounding out your top 25. Jonas Larsson, Connie Lundrell, Andre Salander, not the night he was hoping for. Marcus Stiller and Anton Urman, or Ammon. Excuse me, I apologize for butchering names. Stiller being the last car scored on the lead lap. Ehrman, unfortunately, first car one or more laps down in 30th. Philip York, Haflidi Johansson, Christopher Euros, Jakob Larsson, and Pontius Nielsen rounding out your top 35. Philip Carlson, Dennis Schrepp, and Philip Bromberg rounding out your field of 38 starters tonight.
And that will do it for us here tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. Round number 5 from Martinsville coming up in 2 weeks' time for the oval side, but coming up next week will be round number 5 on the GT3 side. That will be at Sebring, a 60-minute endurance event. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight alongside my Tony Trapasso, my broadcast partner, and for myself, Frank Marchese. Thank you very much, and we will see you all next week. Good night, everybody.